Good morning, YouTube. Hope everything's off to a fine start at your house this morning. Today, well, let's get straight down to the point. We're going to be tearing down this 2002 Vulcan Nomad fuel injected model with hydraulic clutch, and he's got clutch problems. Says that whenever he cranks it up, it has no clutch, or hardly any clutch. It's hard to start, hard to get in neutral. After you ride it a little while, it starts performing a little better. And within the last 1,000 miles, he's had the clutch reworked by a professional. Well, this is 2002. It's been since 2010 since I've worked on a bike. Whenever I broke my neck in 2009, September 2009, it was right at the end of biking season. And they brought in I want to say it was a Suzuki Intruder or something like that to the shop. And in about December, something like that, yeah. And I rebuilt the fuel pump and the carburetor and got it going and everything. I think I put brakes on it and all kinds of stuff. Well, whenever I got done, mind you, I'm working with a broken back. Didn't know I had a broken back. I just knew my back hurt tremendously, a lot, all the time. Well, whenever I got done with the bike, of course, I needed to take it out and test ride it. And I had a little loop. I'd go out of the shop. I'd go down to the next intersection and hang a right, go out there about a mile, and there was plenty of stretch in there that you could really open something up a hill, down a hill, and and decelerating and going into a curve, and then slowing down and making a right-hand turn, going out to the freeway, hitting the feeder and going down about a half a mile and turning off the feeder onto the highway and easing up to the shop. About half a mile down the road, the shop was there on the right. Well, it didn't take long for me to figure out that I couldn't move my neck the way I used to. You got to have your neck on a swivel whenever you're riding a motorcycle. Trust me, I rode a motorcycle for 10 years without having a car or a truck. I had never had an accident. I rode in high traffic situations, in mountains, all across the United States. I've rode motorcycles. I've been there. You have got to be alert, and you got to have your head on a swivel, or you're going to get run over, or you're going to run over something. Trust me. Okay. So I realized that I couldn't move my head the way I should be able to, and the vibration of the bike and hitting the bumps really made my back hurt so much that whenever I come back after that ride, my boss man asked me, he said, "How did it ride?" And I said, really, I couldn't tell you the truth, because I was in too much pain to really be paying that close attention to the bike, but it runs great. It really does. I said it accelerates great, it stops good, and everything is working right. I said, but this is the last bike I'm ever going to ride. And he said, do what? I said, yeah. I said, this is it. He says, you got to ride them. I said, no, I don't either. I said, I don't have to work on them either. I said, we got another mechanic here that can handle the bikes that come in here. And he's like, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to work on these boats and on these jet skis and on these ATVs. I said, and I told him what happened. I said, man, I went out there to get on the freeway, and I went to turn my head to look behind me, and I couldn't. I said, I couldn't look behind me. I could look in my mirror, but I couldn't look behind me. I couldn't turn my head that far. He's like, oh, man. He says, well, it wasn't, let's see, that was in like January of 2010. I left that job at the end of February because of my back and my neck. I went into the machinist industry. And during the 5 years I worked as a machinist, my body pretty much healed itself. We found out what was wrong with me. I had 2 broke discs in my neck and 3 broke discs in my back, right where my back joins my rib cage. So, I mean, we figured out treatments that would help me. Now I'm seeing repercussions from that, from my disc in my neck. They're pinching my nerves in my neck and are causing my feet to be numb and to hurt all the time. It's very painful. But anyway, to get away from that story right there, my friend, he asked me if I'd take a look into his motorcycle and see what was going on. I told him sure, things were slow right now and I didn't mind. I don't have a lift, so I can't get it up in the air, but I can work on it just as well right here, like this. I redid a clutch in a Nomad. I think it was about the same year model as this some years ago. Well, there's a big scratch right there, Honda. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's been a long while, and but the work is the same. And I remembered it. He gave me a book. He's got the complete Haynes manual on this bike, and it's got all the information in it that I need. And while I'm sitting here shooting the breeze with you, I wanted to pay homage to my shirt. You're asking about this shirt already, American Motorcycle Institute. I graduated from there in 2004. I believe it was 2004. No, 2005. I started in 2004. The main thing that we learned there was how to use, we learned everything, but we learned that using a manual was the most important thing in a mechanic's line of work. If you can read and use a manual, you can do most anything to any kind of machinery if you've got that manual. That's a number one important thing, because it has all a good manual has all its specifications in it. It has in-depth details on how to do the work you need to do. And if you can follow instructions, you can use a manual and you can do most anything. So I've got the manual. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I've got all the tools to do it with, except for except for a spring loading measurement device. And I looked at one of those online and I said, well, no, I really don't need that, because if I open up that box, I'm going to replace the springs on it anyway, most likely. So basically, I've already inspected this bike. I've found that the clutch handle is not springing back all the way. It's got some goop and stuff in there. And I see a wet spot up inside the plunger, where the plunger pushes in the diaphragms and everything that makes this hydraulic clutch work. I've noticed a wet spot up in there. So most likely we're going to rebuild the clutch master cylinder. We're going to clean all this up first and see if that don't make the spring action start kicking the clutch handle back all the way. And then, excuse me, I got indigestion type gas this morning. Then we're going to take and we're going to look at the slave cylinder and the clutch rod that goes through to the other side to the clutch basket. We're going to take a look at all that, see if it's working properly, or if it needs to be rebuilt, if any parts need to be replaced. And then we're going to take apart the clutch basket and look at it. We're going to check all the springs. They have a, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if they have a clutch spring tester and measurement device over at the bike shop where I used to work at. But I'm going to take them with me whenever I go over to order parts. And just for giggles, we're going to measure those springs and test them to see if they come out right or not. But I am going to replace the clutches in this motorcycle with Barnett clutches and springs and all that good stuff is going to be replaced. Because if he just did it at 1,000 miles ago and it's not working properly and he put 1,000 miles on it, most likely we're going to have damage to all of that stuff. We're going to have heat damage, we're going to have friction damage, we're going to have most likely damage. But A number one, he put Mobil 1 full synthetic V-twin oil in this motorcycle. Now, is that good or is that bad? I don't know. They told us never to say that. At school I went to, never say that. I don't know. But the information that I looked up on the internet says that Mobil 1 full synthetic has non-friction triglycerides or something like that. I can't pronounce it. In there to keep down on friction. Well, clutches are friction plates. They gotta have friction. So there's a possibility that these clutches have already been have absorbed all that oil in there that they're going to absorb, and they're not working properly because the oil is made to not to cut down on friction. You got different kinds of motorcycle engines. Some have wet clutches, some have dry clutches. This is a wet clutch. So your engine oil is your transmission oil, is your clutch oil. It's all in one, okay? And the book clearly says not to use oil with friction guard in it. And so Mobil 1 has friction guard built into it. So we're going to have to do away with that oil. And I'm sure what we're going to go to, I haven't asked him, but I know for a fact that if I was going to put any kind of oil in anything and want it to work and expect it to work and expect it to last for a long life, would be Castrol. So we're going to be going back with a 1030, 1040 Castrol, long life engine oil, dyno oil is what you call it, dyno oil. We're talking fossil fuels here. Yes. The expense is just not, to me, it's not worth it. Whatever your preference is, that's what you use. I use fossil fuels, okay? Well, before we get too far along, I need to straighten up and make me just a little bit of room on top of my my media cabinet over there to where I can sit and read the book and check measurements as I'm taking them. I'm going to bring you along. I've already gotten started here. I need to drop the oil. We've removed the bag off of this side here. You got 2 bolts here, and it just pulls up and releases. Okay. Move this stuff out of my way. Okay, you got to take your footboard loose. Make sure to tie it up to where you don't have any unnecessary strain on your brake lines or your brake wires. Okay, you got 2 bolts here, 2 bolts up here that come loose. But first, what you need to do is you need to take this footboard loose. Okay, it's got one bolt that holds the crash bar on, and 1 bolt that holds just the footboard. Okay, take that loose. Then you've got a couple bolts here that's got to come loose. You got to take the water pump cover off, and then you remove these 2 bolts up here and these 2 bolts here, and it allows this frame to pull loose. Okay, you don't have to take it off, you just have to pull it loose to get to these 8mm bolts. Alright, then you got a whole bunch of 8mm bolts that go around it. You're going to take those loose. But first of all, we got to drop the oil out of this thing so we don't make a mess on the floor. Okay, so let me get involved in that, and but that's where we're at on this side right here. I'm to the point where I can pull the clutch cover off and get started. I've got all my bolts laid out here nice and neat. I got my tools. I've got a bunch here with some more chrome caps that he has and everything, and I'm fixing to get organized here to where I can work. I started the last night and I did not have any battery life on my phone, and it don't take very long. I use my 1/2-inch impact, my 1/4-inch impact, and a few hand tools, and it took me probably 15-20 minutes at the most, and I had all this pulled off of here, and that's that. All right, let me get all this kind of organized where I can scoot around in here. Okay. One 17mm bolt. Man, that's rough. This is rough. These are real smooth when they start coming out. Man, it's like gum. I just got a tie on it or something. Got cramped spaces up in here until I have a garage sale to get rid of all this stuff. That worked. We got it's like 4 Allen head bolts here, whatever the size is. I like leaving my top bolts on. We got a ghost in the building. This one right here looks like you really need a ball out to get on it. Let's get these lower two off. Okay, just got a shoulder on it. Same size with the shoulder. Well, I sure miss working on the lift. We're gonna have to build us a lift. Okay, let's try and turn it loose. We got a washer on this one. Yeah, this is plastic. Oh man. It goes around the shifter. What a bunch of dummies. Okay. Guess I should have been looking. So with that, okay. The light's on anyway. Okay. Okay, this is starting to piss me off. The footboard's got to come off too. All right, I should have known. All right, now it should come on off her. Kickstand's in the way. It should come on off her. There she goes. Let's go put this somewhere where it won't get damaged. Clutch handle up a little better. You got a 10 millimeter nut on the bottom. Then you got screwdriver threads right here on this bolt. We're gonna pull that loose, just like that. Once it gets out, we're gonna pull it out of there. Now what we have is like a sticky substance on it. Okay, we're gonna pull that out. Be careful because you got your plunger here. Okay, and it goes in with the tip in, going in towards the master cylinder itself. Now let's go get some brake clean and clean this up and see if it'll work a little freer. All right, you got a little barrel, little brass barrel there. The end of this goes in there. Oops, I forgot. I need to clean this. All things, it needs to be clean. The bolt that holds it on there is gunked up. Something fierce. All right. So you got a bunch of 8mm bolts. They're different sizes. Some have long shoulders on, some have short. You got 2 dowels. You have a washer right here that you got to make sure that it stays where it's at. It will fall out, and if it falls out and you forget to put it back in there, you're in trouble. Okay, so let's see what's going on here with this clutch. Okay, clutch plate seems to be working the way it's supposed to. We got slack in all of our clutch plates. We don't have slack in it there, so it's working the way it should. See, whenever you depress the clutch, the slave cylinder pushes against the clutch rod, and then that pushes out against your plate here, your pressure plate, and then it releases your clutches, which puts your engine in, should be in neutral. Okay. So let's have a look. Okay, you see your slot here? You have a little circlip. Get your screwdriver behind that, pop that out, set that over to the side, and you pull your plate out. Okay. Oh, see? Our slave cylinder is not going back into its position. It's like it's got pressure on it all the time. Okay, now, you got a bearing with a cover. That's a needle bearing with a cover. Okay, you got a 27mm bolt, or nut, excuse me. Nut talking about a bolt. Okay, you got a 27 millimeter nut right here. Okay, we need to inspect this. All right, let's put this up on the table. Now look at it. So friction plate thickness should be 130 to 138 thousandths of an inch. The service limit is 122 thousandths. So these are 131 thousandths. They're barely in. They're barely in. From what I can tell, they're barely in. My math says they're barely in. This was 130 thousandths. Barely in. This was 131 thousandths. Barely in. Ooh, you see that? See how the way it's discolored there? We need to check them for warp. This one's 129 thousandths. Yes, 129 thousandths. Oh, look at that, how discolored that is. Yeah, it's got hot. You hear that washer fall out of there? Spicer. 130 thousandths. $131 thousandths. Yeah, these are all right there at that limit.
See right up in here? Look right up in there. You see that? It's real rough. I don't think it should be all rough and stuff like that. It's like it's been gouging into the clutch basket. Okay, let's count these. We got 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 steel plates. That's correct. Now I need to get a flat surface and check all these steel plates to see if they're warped. See if we can find a flat surface around here. Okay, it's trying to go under there. You just lay it flat on there. Slide up on it. Okay, these are discolored to the point where they've been hot. You see? They need to be changed. So, we're going to change the friction plates and the steel plates.
Okay, to start off with, we're going to grease everything and put it in the freezer overnight, just like the book says to do. So we're going to dab just a little bit of Yama lube on there, like Yama lube grease. That's what I got. Then we're going to slide it on there. Okay, dogs go up. You got your spring plate. It goes up, it latches into your dogs, just like that. And we got your limiter springs. Be 3 of them in a package. They should all look just alike. They're all concave, same direction. Okay, but they go in different directions. Remember that. So let's see. That's figure number 70. Where's figure 70? Okay. It says, let me just read all of it. Install the clutch spring plate. No, the back torque limiter springs must be installed in the following order and orientation for the back torque limiter feature of the clutch to operate correctly. Use grease to hold the springs together. These are springs. During assembly. If necessary, refrigerate the grease prior to assembly. Freezing it. Apply a light coat of multi-purpose grease to the outer surface of the spring holder A. That's this. That's this. On 2004 and on models, install the clutch spring holder outer ring B, figure number 69, onto the spring holder so the step side is up. Now, this guy burnt this clutch up. He didn't have one of these in there. There was not one in there. So we're adding one. Hopefully it will eliminate the problem. Technician at the bike shop that's used to working on these all the time told me he'd never taken one apart that didn't have one on there. And then I specifically asked him if he had worked on pre-2004 models, and he said yes. He'd never seen any of them without this on there. Okay. We got that on there. Install the clutch spring and the 3 back torque limiter springs in the following order. Position the clutch spring with the dish side facing up and install the clutch spring onto the spring holder. On 2004 and on models, the spring will rest against the outer ring. Apply grease to the first spring. Position the first spring with the dish side facing up and install the spring into the spring holder. Facing up. With the dish side facing up. Okay. Just like this. Just like this. Let's grease this. Apply grease to the second spring. Position the second spring with the dish side facing down and install the spring onto the first spring. Dish side facing down. The outer surfaces of both springs should now be touching. Correct. Apply grease to the third spring. Position the third spring with this side facing up and install the spring onto the second spring. Just like this. Just like that. Apply grease to the outer surface of the third spring. Okay. Caution. Caution. In the following step, all 3 springs must remain installed on the spring holder. If the last or the third spring moves off the end of the spring holder during installation, as shown in figure 76, the spring holder will not seat properly in the clutch assembly. If this occurs, the operating plate to be installed later will not travel in far enough to allow room to install the retainer ring. Okay, now this goes in the deep freeze. We're going to freeze it overnight, and we'll come back in the morning and pick up with figure 77 in the book. One thing you got to make sure of, this oil hole has to line up with that oil hole. Okay, goes on there just like this. Those oil holes have to line up. Okay, it goes to, according to the book, it slides down. Slide that on. Slide your basket. Make sure you slide in past your gear. Okay. Then you have your large washer. Okay, then you got your gear. And it slides on in line with your hole. Let's see if there ain't two holes on there. No, there's only one. It does not line up exact. It lines up on top of the spline. This hole is on top of the spline. The other one's on the bottom. We're going to put our inner hub on. Bottoms out. These have been pre-soaked in oil. Start with a friction plate. And a steel plate. Friction. Steel. Friction. Steel. Friction. Steel. Friction. Steel. Friction. And steel. Friction. Steel. And the last friction plate locks it in. It goes in the groove like this. Okay? we go. All right, pull the shaft out to where you'll have more room. As you tighten it down with a hand ratchet, the spring compresses and allows more room for the nut to go on. That's snug. We got to torque it down, but I want to check. Is there going to be room to get the ring in there? I think it's going to work. Okay, well, I'm going to pop that off, and then I am going to go to the store, get me a pack of cigarettes and a cold drink, and then I'm going to come back, and that'll give my Thunderbolt time to charge. Then I'll come back and I'll torque it into place, and then we'll test it and see. We still got to put the clutch, the bearing in here and everything. I just wanted to test it, see if that was going to fit. And so far, so good. We're in there. While we're waiting on a guy to come pick up that lawnmower and my Ugga Dugga to charge up good, we're gonna bleed the brake or the clutch master cylinder. So first things first, I'm gonna crack these loose. Not with this, I ain't. This is a hand impact. If you don't own one, you should go online right now and buy one. Save you lots of frustration and lots of stripped out screws and stuff. Now, let me say this. This master cylinder on it says use DOT4 brake fluid only, and it means only. And do not spill this on your tank, on your chrome, on your fenders, anything that you want to keep. Do not spill it. Okay. Now, that don't mean go over to the shelf and grab a bottle of DOT or DOT4 brake fluid off the shelf that you've had laying around for quite some time, or even since yesterday. Brake fluid will it absorbs water faster and moisture out of the air faster than anything you've ever known. If you drop a bottle, even if it's brand new, put it back on the shelf, you'll never get all the bubbles out of it. Never. When? Never. Okay, so let's get this top of this master cylinder off. Looks like it's a little low. Let's get that on there properly. Pressed on DOT4. Roo, you need to get on out of here. Have to shoo the damn chickens off to work. Get on out of here, Rooster. There ain't nothing up in here for you to eat. Let's get all the old out of there. Get that funky looking sludge out of it.
be tight enough right there. All right. Slide that in place. That snap ring in there. Here it is. February. I'm sweating. All right, we're in there. So let's consult our book and see what's next. Okay, so it says to install the clutch cover next. So we're going to skip that, and we're going to go and we're going to hook up the new slave cylinder to the brake line, and then we're going to bleed it out, and I'm going to show you how the clutch works. The slave cylinder is already installed. So all we got to do is break the brake line, the hose, the hydraulic hose off of it. I keep wanting to call it a brake hose. It's not a brake hose. It is a brake hose, but it's not a brake hose. Let's get all this nasty crap out. Okay, you'll have 2 crush washers. One on either side. You get your banjo boot. You want to make sure that your hose is not in a bind. Yeah, got that tight. Now we need to bleed it off. That other procedure that we did a while ago, we're going to repeat that. What we were doing was cleaning out all the old fluid. We've got that done. So let's install our hose onto there. Move this stuff out of the way, kind of clean up after ourselves. Make sure our reservoir up here is full. Watch the bubbles right here. sure you got it tight, then let go of your handle. Squeeze it 10 times. And on your 10th pull, hold it, and then crack your nut open. Watch your bubbles right here. When you stop getting bubbles, tighten it, release your handle. Oh, we got clutch. Ten. Oh, my hands starting to get tired. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And crack. Let's do a refill. Make sure we're full. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Refill. All right, as I bleed it this time, I want you to look at it from a little bit different angle. You look at it from the clutch side of the angle. That's me pulling the clutch in. I'm gonna pump it 10 times. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And hold it. Now I'm fixing to crack the bolt open. And I want you to watch what happens. See it? Holding the banjo. There we go. Bleeder valve. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Crack the bleeder valve. Tighten it. That should have taken care of all of our old fluid. It should have got it all out of the lines. We should have nothing but brand new fluid in that system. Now I'm fixing to put the cap back on it. Now I'm gonna put you on to charge, and I'm gonna get ready to start wrapping this job up.